Morning everyone, welcome to another Lanzarote information news and weather bulletin. A slightly makeshift one this week. We're coming to you from our hotel room in Phuket, Thailand, and off the back of a very long 4 flights which it's taken us to get here. So I think this week's will be slightly makeshift. I think over the next couple of weeks we'll get better and better at producing our usual videos while we're travelling. But as usual this week I'm going to be doing the news for you from the island. I'll talk about the weather as well, which has been quite interesting over the last week or so. And right at the end of the bulletin I'll give you 3 things you could be doing if you were on the island next week. So let's get to it. And we'll start off by talking about the weather, and in Lanzarote of course. It's been super hot this week, unusually so for November. Last weekend was absolutely beautiful. We were out in the garden on both Saturday and Sunday and thoroughly enjoying the Indian summer. By Tuesday, daytime temperatures on the island had reached 32 degrees. That continued on Wednesday until it finally started to drop on Thursday morning, and I gather they are now having more normal more normal winter weather on the island, with temperatures in the mid-20s or so. Now, during that very warm period, the overnight temperature didn't drop below 20 degrees, so they were very much tropical nights, which is quite unusual for November. The forecast for the next week is normal November style weather, which means temperatures in the mid-20s falling to the high teens at night. Okay, let's move on with the news now, and the first story is that 2 hikers in 2 separate incidents had to be rescued in the municipality of Aria during the week. The first one, a man called for help when he got tired after climbing up the walk from the Risco, the little beach at the bottom of the Risco, back up towards Guinate. And the second one happened when a lady became lost and disorientated in the area of Guinate at 7:30 at night, when of course it's dark. Both were successfully rescued, and the man was actually taken back down the pathway to the beach, and was picked up by a beach which the rescuers by a boat which the rescuers summoned for him, and the lady was escorted back to where her car had originally been left, which I gather is somewhere near Mirador del Rio. Now, these rescues just seem to be happening too often. Please, if you're out and about, you're planning to do a hike somewhere on the island, make sure you're properly prepared for it. You know how far you're going to have to walk, roughly what time in relation to when it gets dark you're going to be back at your vehicle or your starting point. Make sure you've got plenty of water on board, a sun hat to protect you from the sun, good quality sun cream, and of course a mobile phone with plenty of battery on it in case you do need to call for some help. Now, if you're on the island at Christmas time, we have been producing for many years now our famous Christmas guide to Lanzarote, and Susanna, Julie and myself are all working hard on that at the moment, populating that with information as it comes in. I picked up on one this week which you might be interested in if you're on the island, and that is that the Christmas lights at the Biosfera shopping centre in Puerto del Carmen are going to be turned on the 14th of December, and that's always a really big party. The Biosfera lights switch on, so keep an eye out for that, particularly if you've got kids with you, because Santa Claus and his elves will be there. Now, we're properly into cruise ship season on the island. The Canaries become the location and home base of several of the major cruise ships that move from the Mediterranean, where it's too cold for them to be cruising in the winter months. And in Lanzarote we've got 64 ships planned to arrive during the month of November alone, so that's around 130,000 people who will be travelling on those, who will be coming to visit Lanzarote, many for the first time. The cruise ships often turn people into regular visitors, so they come to the island for the first time on a ship, spend a day here, fall in love with it, and then start holidaying on the island in the future. And next up, we now have amphibious chairs at the beach in Arrieta, that's Playa La Garita, and 2 of these sort of chairs with big round wheels have been put onto the beach together with a sort of duck boarding so that they can be wheeled into the water, and obviously they're designed for people with limited or almost no mobility at all, and they will be operated by the lifeguards. So if anybody actually wants to get into the water and be assisted out of a wheelchair into one of these amphibious chairs and wheeled into the water, just speak to the lifeguards in their hut and they will come down and assist. The second cruise ship story we had this week was that a very special ship has been, well, two very special ships actually have been in port. The first was a Ritz-Carlton ship which is called Luminara, and that was in Arrecife on Monday. Luminara and all of the Ritz-Carlton ships are super luxury ships, boutique cruise ships. The Ritz-Carlton ships are famous for their decor. They have some serious artwork on board. We're talking about stuff that's worth millions literally on each of their ships. I mean, for example, Luminara has some Matisse sculptures, Henry Moore works, some Pablo Picasso works, really high quality artworks. She only holds 400 people. She was in ship from first thing in the morning until 1 a.m. the following morning. I don't know what the guests aboard her did and where they went, but you can imagine it was probably a pretty special experience for them. The second particularly interesting ship in was Club Med 2, which is one of the world's largest sailing ships. She's a 5-master, so a vast one. I don't know how many passengers she carries, but I'll just check with Julie, who's sitting quite close by. Do you know how many passengers?
Not off the top of my head.
No, she doesn't know off the top of her head. One of the world's largest sailing ships, but yeah, just quite an impressive sight. And I know a few friends of ours went down and got photos of her, so I'll try and get some copies of those. I'm not going to be able to do it in time for the bulletin, and Julie's signalling me now she knows how many passengers.
I've just googled that for you, Mike. It's 386 passengers.
386. So it's another one of those kind of small boutique-y ships that will eventually, I imagine, be docking in Playa Blanca. Now, the penultimate story this week is a really sad one, and it comes off the back of a sad one that we had to do last week, where a British man died and another was seriously injured when they fell from quite a high level at a Costa Teguise hotel. This week's really sad news involves a group of 3 friends who were swimming or surfing, we're not sure which, in Famara last weekend. They were a Romanian man, an Indian man and a German man. They went into the water, they had a swim, they were overcome, it seems, by waves and or current. The German man managed to get himself ashore to put an alert out. Police soon found, unfortunately, what turned out to be the body of the Romanian man, who was brought ashore lifeless and couldn't be revived. For a long time they didn't find the third man. They searched overnight, and well into the next day, eventually his body was washed ashore as well. So 2 out of those 3 friends lost their lives at Famara. There was a very big rescue and then a search mission for them, which involved 2 helicopters, police, the MLAN, the emergency rescue people, and as I say, unfortunately the whole thing ended up in a double tragedy. 2 died by drowning. And finally, we'll finish this bulletin on a much lighter and more pleasant note, and this is the story of the children's passports that CACT, who are the organisation that run the official tourist centres on the island, have come out with. And these are called Manrique passports, and basically children can pick these up free of charge at any of the CACT centres. They include, for example, the Fire Mountains, Timan Fire, Jardín, the Cactus Gardens, the Jamios del Agua, the Mirador del Rio, and so on and so forth. So they can pick up a copy of this passport, and when they visit each of them, they will be issued, or they can ask for a sticker which they can put into the passport passport, kind of like a passport stamp. I think this is a really, really good move. It's aimed actually at both tourist children and also local children who live on the island, and it's a way for them to stay in touch with Cesar Manrique's legacy. So look out for those if you're coming to the island with kids, and collect your stickers as you visit all of the official attractions. So let's do the 3 things you could be doing if you're on the island next week. So the first thing I'm going to suggest to you is on Wednesday the 12th of November, and this takes place at the Theatre Atlantide, the Sala Teatro Atlantide in Arrecife, which is part of the sort of cinema complex in Charco San Ginés. This is on Wednesday, as I said. It kicks off at, he says, looking for the time, 8 o'clock, and costs €25. And this is a performance of the songs of Dire Straits, which is being given by 9 musicians, including Oscar Rosende, who apparently is a famous Dire Straits guitar impersonator. So that might be quite an interesting one to look out for if you're a Dire Straits fan. There was a quote by the musician Guy Fletcher, who is Dire Straits' keyboard player, and he was saying he heard Oscar playing the guitar and thought it was Mark Knopfler or one of their recordings. So apparently he is a very, very good Dire Straits guitar impersonator, if that's the right phrase. Now, I mentioned this in the news bulletin on Friday the 14th of November. It's the Christmas lights switch on at the Biosfera shopping centre. You should get yourself down to that. There is all kinds of stuff going on. Father Christmas, Papa Noel is going to be there. The lights actually get switched on at 6:30. So look out for that. There's loads of stuff going on at the Biosfera, obviously from that moment on all the way through until King's Day the 6th of January. And finally, the following day, on Saturday the 15th of November, if you don't fancy going to watch the lights switch on in Puerto del Carmen at the Biosfera Shopping Centre, then head to the Dayland Shopping Centre in Playa Honda, which for many years was the biggest shopping centre on the island. The lights are being switched on there at 6:30 in the evening, and they are particularly impressive from the outside of Dayland. I'm not going to spoil it by telling you what happens, but the lighting on the outside of Dayland is amazing, and they always have the largest Christmas tree on the island there, which goes through all 3 stories of the shopping centre. So that might be something you could do on Saturday. And that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found that interesting and useful. If you did, please give us a like. If you've got any questions about Lanzarote, put them in a comment below. I read all of the comments, even when we're travelling, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Until next week, thank you once again, and bye for now, everyone. Bye.